Hi guys, it's 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗀 again, and today I want to talk about how nothing is personal in our lives. That whatever other people are doing, it's never personal to us. Whatever they say, whatever they do is never personal. So let me explain. When it comes to, other people, it is every single person, even ourselves, we are acting from a place of our own understanding of life, right? So we have our own beliefs, we have our own thoughts about things, which we developed when we were growing up. So when we were growing up, we took on board a lot of things that were happening around us, right? So the way our parents acted towards us, how, society acted towards us, what was shown on TV, and we experience lots of different things, and then we kind of take it all on board and create this kind of reality, right? We create our own reality about what we think life looks like or how we perceive it to be. So for every single person, it will be different because, not everyone lives in the same household. No one lives in the same culture. So every single person will have a different experience of how life looks like. There are, of course, certain things that are carried on in the sense that it's very common to think a certain way. And that comes from like culture and how, the parents see things and how their generation has experienced things. So it might be that, there's a certain context or a certain way of living that might be promoted around you. And that does not mean that it's true. It's just something that has been passed on over generation over generation. And so it's realizing that everything in life is actually neutral and that we create and interpret it the way we want to. So for an example, let's say, is this whole concept that we're, I guess, already moving away from, but is this, going to school, finishing school, going to university, finishing university, getting married, having kids, setting up a family, and then doing your job until the end of your time in this specific body, right? In this time on earth. And so we function with that in mind, behind our subconscious mind, right? So we are programmed from the outside to live that way, and usually we're not even conscious of this. So we go around passing on our knowledge or that which we believe in onto the other person, because that's how we see the world, right? So when it comes to not taking anything personally, it's understanding that another person, if they say something to you, if they even try to, not to say force their own perspective, but if they're very strong in what they believe in, it's never anything personal to you because it's how they grew up and what they think about the world and themselves. So the way we see the world is always a reflection of what we're actually thinking about it as in the world and what we believe about ourselves. Because if we believe that we're not good enough, then we will find or resonate with those situations that make us feel not good enough, right? So we are always comparing ourselves with other people. We are reflecting on, and matching up to what we're seeing. That's why we resonate with some things and we don't resonate with other things. It's because of our own inner belief and what we think about ourselves, right? So if we see someone really, expanding their business, for example, and we feel like it's hard because we're not there yet, right? So there's a big gap there. And so we feel like, oh, I'm not there. So we create this story. And so we feel bad about ourselves. So when we come to not taking things personally, understanding that everyone is, doing the best they can with the knowledge they've got, they're perceiving the world. So it's never about you. What someone says, if they say they don't like, I don't know, your necklace, right? It means that in their world, they might associate it with something subconsciously, or they just, it doesn't resonate. So if someone's, saying something to you that, whatever it is, it's neutral, right? It's actually their own perception of things. So if someone says, it's really hard to become a business owner, or it's really hard to become a writer, it's because they don't associate it, it doesn't resonate with them, right? That doesn't mean that it's hard for you. Or if you want to live a life of adventure and you don't want to settle down and have a family, then, and if people are saying, that's against, I don't know, religion or something, then it has nothing to do with you. It's because they've made it mean that if they did that, they would feel really bad if they went for their writing career and feel like they've left their family or something. Then they would feel bad because they feel like they're not there for other people, that they are not good enough, right? So it has nothing to do with you. And so notice, so it's that kind of distancing yourself from how other people are perceiving the world. So that kind of gives you that sense that, I can do things my way. And this is where the magic happens. This is where, when you can look kind of back towards yourself, you can detach from the other people around you and really focus on what you actually want. And sometimes you notice, like, I don't know what I want anymore because of those, it's like, okay, if I can live life however I want to, sometimes it may be difficult because you're so pre-programmed to think a certain way how life should look like, and suddenly you have this amazing freedom and you're like, what do I do with it, And also another thing that I love is notice if nothing's personal, why are you still angry? Why are you still upset? Why are you still feeling like that person has all the power and they've, said something and it really hit you, right? So that's when the magic happens, when you can really explore and understand your own thoughts and your own story about the world that you've created, right? So this is the time where you can reality shift into something that you desire. This is where you can unearth and rediscover who you truly are at the core and go beyond those limitations, beyond the definitions of society, beyond the definition of how your ancestors have lived life. This is where you do shadow work. And shadow work is simply where you're looking at things inside of you, like your thoughts, your beliefs, your core values. It's not about eliminating the shadow. It's simply about rediscovering things. So when you're cleaning your room, for example, you might find old things like, a collection of stamps that you forgot and that you've been collecting when you were younger. And that's shadow work. That's like going into a dark room with a flashlight and then finding stuff that you forgot were there or didn't even notice. You know how you sometimes put something on the side in your room because you're like, I don't need this now, and you just put it somewhere on your shelf and you completely forget about it and it just lives on that shelf for the next 5 years, and then one day you decide to do some decluttering and it's like, I don't know what to do with this. I didn't realize that was there, And so that is shadow work. That is also light work. They come in hand because a light worker puts light into the world. So that's what you're doing. You're putting light into those shadow parts of yourself, and it's not about eliminating the shadow. It's about seeing it for what it is. And when it comes to, taking things personally, if you feel like you are taking things personally and it's hurting you and you're struggling and you're blaming other people, stop right there. Take a deep breath. And then find out why you are feeling this way. So it's about understanding that, okay, so if it's not the other person that is hurting me, then why am I feeling hurt? And this is where you can really explore your thoughts. This is where you can be like, oh, I'm making this mean about me. So I'm creating a story about myself here. So it's not the person, it's what they said. So they said, I don't know, I don't want to go on holiday with you. Or I'm not ready for a holiday yet. And then you're suddenly thinking you've been rejected. And you think, oh, I'm not good enough for this person to go on holiday. Oh, this person doesn't want to go on holiday with me because they've got better things to do, right? And then it's actually all about you. It's how you view yourself in the situation. So you're making it mean that you're not good enough for the other person. So it's not about the other person. So now that you've like realized, hang on, I'm thinking that I'm this. And it's realizing that that thought came from somewhere else, right? This thought may be something that you were pre-programmed growing up, or maybe it's something a situation with your parents and that hurt you. Not specifically about holiday, but maybe a similar situation where you felt like you wanted to go somewhere and your parents decided to go somewhere else and you just felt this pain, right? So that pain, that kind of little trauma that happened back then was brought up again in this other scenario in your life, and that's why you're taking personally, because you're attaching meaning to the story, and then you're feeling the exact same emotion you were feeling back then when something happened and it planted the seed, so it came up again because you feel like you're in the exact same situation, even though you can't remember maybe what it was, because it's subconscious now. It's like in your mind. And so that's where magic happens, because now you have a choice. Now you're like, oh, wow, I've been telling myself this. Now it's time for a new story. It's now time for a new interpretation. It's now time to stop self-sabotaging yourself and create something that will feel better inside you. This is where you can then say, okay, well, I don't want to feel like I'm not good enough. What can I do to feel a little bit more good enough? And this is where you can start your journey in creating more self-confidence and more freedom in your life. So that is my tip of today. You can find me on Instagram. We can have a chat there. And if you want one-to-one sessions where we can really dive deep into those subconscious thoughts of yours and really actually reframe it into something that you do want in your life, then I have free one-to-one sessions where you can get to know me and learn about what I do and see if we match together and if you'd like to work with me. So if that's something, you can find the website in the description below. Other than that, have a great day, guys, and see you on the next video.